Hello, good evening. What's up, Rebel? What's up, JC? What's up, Austin? All right, guys, we have a wonderful show slated for you today. Our guest is Gordon Chambers. He's Grammy Award winning American R&B songwriter, producer, solo artist, and former journalist. So he was raised in Teaneck, New Jersey by Jamaican parents. He has written hits for over 75 artists. I mean, including, and guys, these are names that you have to know. Okay. Anita Baker, I Apologize, Brownstones, If You Love Me, which is one of my favorite songs, by the way. Okay, Angie Stone's No More Rain, which I sing all the time. Another one of my favorite songs. All right, and Missing You from Set It Off. Got to be the best song on the track. We are so elated to have him here today. He's a former entertainment editor at Essence and Brown University graduate, and he later launched a solo career with 4 albums released between 2005 and 2017. Chambers has earned a Grammy, multiple ASCAP awards, and has collaborated with legends like Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Beyonce. And he is also known for mentoring young artists and speaking at schools and colleges. I mean, that is a resume, Mr. Chambers. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome our guest,
Oh,
Gordon Chambers.
all right,
Hey,
All
Gordon.
how are you?
right,
Yeah.
Hey, how
yay!
are you?
Mm,
Doing very
All
well,
right,
thank
man. It's a pleasure.
you.
mm,
Thank you. Thank you for
mm.
coming in today. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes, yes. So we just want to talk to you about, your past credits and also what you're doing now. Now, I just want to dig into your past a little bit. We know your upbringing. You grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, right? And
Hmm.
and and your dad bought records every Friday. And what was there a specific album or something that made you say, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to write music."
No, it was like tons of albums. My father had thousands and thousands of albums, so it was probably all the albums. And looking at all the album credits and reading the liner notes and being fascinated with like liner notes, like
Mm.
that there was string arrangers and Jerry Hay is the horn arranger and Jeremy Lubbock did the string arrangements and these names. I remember just being like reading the credits of who wrote the songs, who arranged, who produced, who played drums on the session. I was a music head because my parents like to have parties, so they bought like 5 records a week just to like for the weekends, just when people would pass by. So growing up, we listened to Bob Marley, obviously, because we're being Jamaicans, that Bob Marley was probably the songwriter that I heard the most and was the most exposed to. And Bob was more than a songwriter. He was like a social activist and really like a so he instilled in me, I think, that music could have social impact and healing impact. And
Mm-hmm.
then I fell deeply in love with the music of Stevie Wonder. Like when I first started to take piano lessons, I started to teach myself how to play songs, Stevie Wonder songs by ear. So I think that those two were probably the songwriters that I heard the most as a child, who touched me the deepest. And it was not just their music; it was also their humanitarian, the human healing part of who they were as people, and how their music activated people for to be better people, that I
Yeah.
was attracted to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you saying that, you were also, aside from the music, just the humanitarian efforts? I know you studied political science. Did you ever plan for life outside of music?
Yes. I mean, I'm Jamaican, so my father was like, "You have to have 2 jobs, or you have to
Okay.
like." And I was the
I know
first to
all
go to
about
college. I was the first. I was also the first to go to college in my family, and not just in my immediate family, but like of 17 or 18 first cousins. So I was a very studious kid. I went to, got accepted to all the colleges I applied to, including a full scholarship to Princeton, which I did not take, when my father was furious. I
Mm,
ended up going to Brown because I thought it was an Ivy League, but it was also, an artsier college. And I went to college when I was 16, so I was very young because I was very
wow.
scholastic and very academically inclined. So at first, when I was there, I was studying political science because I was trying to become a lawyer. But by my third year, I was like, I don't want to do this. I just was like, I think I was trying to please what was expected of me. But by my third year, I was like, this is not really my spirit calling.
Yeah.
And I had
Yeah.
that conversation with dad, and I figured out, that I could use some of the courses that I had taken in that area and combine with some other courses and still graduate on time, and get a degree on. And but started to that was the turning point. I was like, I started to carve out my own path. A friend of mine on campus helped me get an internship at the Village Voice for the summer, and that's when I was like, maybe journalism could be my day job as I pursue my music. I started to switch gears in that route. And then I ended up landing this job at Essence 3 weeks after graduation day. And it was an entry level position as editorial assistant. But 2.5 years later, I got promoted to entertainment editor, which was also just a great environment to do networking around. But that whole time, I was very strongly pursuing my songwriting career, writing with other songwriters on the weekend, sometimes, on the weekend, sometimes at night. Sometimes at one point, even like I'd go to Bad Boy Studios during lunchtime, which was literally around the corner from Essence, and listen to tracks or even lay an idea of that song down and then come back after work. So I ended up sort of working at Essence, but pursuing my music on the side. And when my first hit songs came out, I was still working at Essence. I really was the Jamaican thing of having two jobs
Yeah.
came to be, because my first set of hit songs was while I was working there. I would hear them on the radio at work. We'd like on the radio, and I'm like, can't listen to that. We have a meeting to do. And then finally, when I was 27, is when my boss and I had that sit down conversation. And she said, it's time for you to spread your wings and do what God is really calling you to do. And I was afraid to go because that had all been instilled in me. You have to have stability. But even though at that time I was making more money doing music than I was, from the magazine, but just fear or just, conventional stability had me feel like I needed to be pillared there. But at age 27, I left that job and then just figured out a way to make a living in music, and haven't really turned back ever since. And I've done different things in music, but that was the turning year, 1997.
Nice. Now I know all about the West Indian parents. I have West Indian
Yes.
parents as well. They do not play.
Not,
Get your butt up and go to work. They do not play.
do
I
not play.
totally understand that. Now, during your time at Essence as an editor, did were there any things that, like, how did that change your perspective on the music industry, or how did it shape your perspective on the music industry?
I'd learned while I would as at Essence a lot. I mean, I learned that a black business could be just as professional and as respected,
Mm,
and be as powerful a brand as anything, um, you know, in the other communities. So, I mean, when I first walked into Essence, even for my job interview, I was so impressed. I saw like just these regal, educated,
love it.
black people that were just like these. I, they were like, wow, it made such an impact on me. And
Yeah.
I wanted to hold my head high, first of all, I came from a family that instilled that in me, period. So I came there with my held high, but then I saw these black professionals with their head held high, that
Hmm.
I think it made me want to conduct myself in the entertainment business. And listen, this is the mid 90s. This is hip hop. This is you know, this was it was it was gully. But
Yeah.
I had a certain kind of dignity, I believe, in a class about myself that was very important to me, both from my childhood and at my Essence years, that I wanted to conduct, no matter where I was going to be me. And
Hmm.
this was who I was going to be. And I think Essence people became role models like that, of a way of being, of a certain kind of dignity, but also what Essence really instilled in me was being of public service to the community. Essence instilled on us, you're not here to work to be fabulous. You're here to work to be a servant to your people. Like when people read this magazine, they are looking to edify and educate themselves. This is a lifeline for people. And a lot of men read Essence at that time too. Like the readership, we had a strong male readership of Essence as well. We had a men's issue once a year. We had a men's column every month called Brothers. So, you know, it was very much instilled in me. And I think when I left Essence, those values of being connected to the community, being of service to the community, really stayed with me. And that made, I think, Essence, that was a very strong legacy. And I've won music awards, obviously, and I've been, but I've also won several community service awards, and I'm just as proud of those as I am for songs that have been awarded for this or that. Because who are we if we're not? If you're not of service to your community, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you? Then you're in glory of your own ego. But like, there's always somebody watching you. You know what I mean? There's always a kid who can Google you and Wikipedia you, and your life may touch somebody's life that doesn't have, that you may never meet you, or you could just meet somebody just in passing, and you just look them in the eye, and just the way you greet them could give them a certain kind of confidence to pursue their dreams. And I believe in that. I believe that it's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's not about, it's just not. It's really about gratitude that God made a way for many of my dreams to come true. And if he gives me the opportunity to be an example for somebody else's come to do, then that's the rent you pay.
Mhm. So, Gordon, if your life's work was a playlist, what would it be? What would the title of it be?
In the mix.
In the mix. Okay.
In the mix. Yeah. I've been in the mix. I mean, I've been in the mixing board sessions, but I've just been in the mix, met many amazing people. I would be in the mix. That would be the name of the playlist. Yeah.
I love
Why?
that.
I met you. Was I one of those amazing people?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here.
All
Oh
right.
man. I really love that, to hear that Essence was more than just a magazine and a face,
Definitely.
and that they dug deeper into wanting to be a pillar of the community. Because
Mhm.
I think when people think of Black businesses, there's a stigma there.
Sure.
And every time I hear people like you speak, and we all know that it's not everybody, right? You have one bad experience and you chalk it up to the whole, oh, Black businesses. So it's so heartwarming to hear it, and that you said it out loud for a lot of people to hear.
Yeah.
That we are out here doing work in the community, and that Essence, and knowing everyone knows who Essence is. So that's amazing to hear that. I'm really proud to hear that.
Thanks so much.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And so, what about, because some of the songs that you have written, I have to tell you, when I read when I read your resume, I was like, oh my God, this is my song. Like, this is my song. Wait, this is my song. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that is amazing. And I want to talk about I Apologize by Anita
Mhm.
Baker. How did that come about? Like, what was the lightning strike moment? How did that come about?
Um, the producer, Barry Eastman, was working with Anita on the Rhythm of Love album. They were basically done. And we had met fairly recently and had started writing together. Phyllis Hyman introduced me to him. Rest in peace, Phyllis. And he played me. He said, "Gordon, we're pretty much done with Anita's album." He said, "But there's this idea that we started that I really like." He said, "But we're supposed to go and master this album in a couple of days." He said, "Do you think you can try to turn around and write something?" Because it was Anita's title, it was her concept. I apologize, and it was like a sketch of a melody, and and the track. He said, "Do you think you can flesh this out and write a lyric to this? But you'd have to do it immediately." I said, "Barry, I surely can." That was like that request that you've been waiting for all of your life. You know what I mean? Anita Baker, like, I mean, I remember basically almost cutting class one day at Brown. Me
Oh
and my
God.
friend, like Scott Posenbrad, because Anita Baker's "Giving You the Best" album was coming out, and we like basically skipped some classes because we went all over the city to find a little tiny record store to get the album, like
Right.
literally. So, so basically, like that's how much of an Anita Baker fan I was. So when Barry asked me that in the at that last minute, I said, "Oh, yes, I can." And I wrote that song like in the middle of the like in the middle of the night. It came to me, and I called him and woke him up, and I said, "I got it." He said, Do you want me to sing it for you on the tape?" He said, "No, no, no, no." I said, he said, I'm in bed." I said, "But I got it." He said, "Well, you have to come over tomorrow after work," because at this time I'm still working. So he
Mhm.
said, "You have to come over afterwards." And then I made a little white lie, little black lie. "Hey, I'm not feeling well." Let me tell you, I was not feeling well so many times in that little office. I think
Oh
they
my
like
God.
or I think they had by
Oh my
97 they
God.
had about enough of me not feeling well. So I mean, but I said, "Oh, I'm not feeling well. Can I leave a little bit early, whatever?" And I ran up to his house after work. He lived in Tarrytown, New York, Barry Eastman. Rode up there. I had to lay down the demo real quick. Um, because we had to do the demo. Then he had to run to FedEx because this did do a little riff. This is before MP3s. He had to literally put it on tape, run to FedEx, FedExed it to Anita's house. "Anita, this is an idea with a songwriter I met. Um, of the idea we started working on. And just when I see you in New York, tell me how you like this." And so she heard it on the plane. She liked it very much. So when they were mastering the album, he told her, "Why don't you go and lay a vocal down on this real quick, since you're fresh in your mind," because this particular studio had a mastering side and had another side where they could still record. And he knew the engineer, and then she ended up doing like a vocal then there, like just to while they were mastering downstairs, and he liked the vocal. He knew that it was a hit record. He could feel it. And so he told the engineer, he said, "Why don't you go ahead and mix this right now?" And this was not planned to be on the album at all. But when they went into the second day of mastering, he said, "Anita, I want to play you something." And he played her the vocal that she did mixed with my background's vocals. That's why you hear my voice in the background, because I'm the only other voice on that album, the other male voice singing, because it was my backgrounds that she sang her lead and kept the backgrounds. And he played it for her. He said, "Anita, listen to this." And she said, "What?" He said, when does this mix?" He said, "Listen, I had that guy mix it right away. This is a hit record." And they said, "Okay, if you think it's a hit, then they turned it in on the mastered record. And so the record company heard it and had never heard it before. They'd been listening to the album in different stages, and it became this brand new, fresh track that was then turned in at the last minute, and they loved it. And they just said, "Oh, this will be the next single," and they rushed it to radio, and then all these radio stations picked it up, and then the album came out. I can't remember how long thereafter, and sold 1 million copies in a week.
Unbelievable.
So it was this life changing, moment, life changing opportunity.
Yeah.
Great,
Well,
forever grateful.
wait, I just want to say something as a side note because you do not look old enough to have been old enough to write that song. You know what I'm saying? Like you, I know I won't blow up like your birth year, but you definitely don't look your age. So I'll
Oh,
just
thank
say
you.
that. Yeah, you don't look old enough to have written that song. I was like, when you came on, I was like, what? So you don't look your age. I won't blow it up, but you definitely
Well,
don't
I was
look.
born in the river. Anyway, I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
but we know how that goes. So
25, 25, right?
Right.
yeah. So Gordon, you wrote for like the queens, like Whitney, Aretha, Shaka. Do they all have anything in common, like in terms of working with them and their creative process, or how they work in the studio?
I mean, everyone's different. But I would say that if I had to say about something that they all had in common, I would say that they were all humble, like far more humble than I expected them to be. Like, like their humility made me nervous because it was like, oh Lord, that means I'm supposed to like lead this thing. I'm supposed to like kind of like tell, if not tell them what to do, but like, kind of lead how this thing is supposed to be done. So I would say that, they all have different personalities, of course. But the thing that surprised me was was the humility, the wanting to get it right, wanting to get it, make it beautiful, make it a hit, or make it really from the heart, and wanting you, or me rather, to be happy, and taking. I think that the biggest I found in my experiences that some of the biggest stars I've ever worked with were the most humble,
Wow,
were the most humble,
that's
and
good.
um, and were devoted to serving the music.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and
Oh,
they were
it's
in touch with
beautiful.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I love
and that
that.
has taught me a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That connection to the music, that's probably why we get such great music out of them, right? They have
yeah.
that genuine, genuine connection. I love
I
that.
mean, I went when we went to go to record with Anita, with Aretha's house. I was so nervous. I came a little early, and
Mm,
her sister-in-law, who was kind of a management person, maybe early in Franklin, great lady. She passed away a couple of years ago. Her sister-in-law, who worked with her, I wasn't sure exactly what her title was. She said, "Oh, you're a little bit early." I said, "Yeah, I didn't want to get lost." She said, "Oh, well, Aretha's practicing." I was like, "Aretha's practicing?" They said, "Oh yeah, she practices every day." I said, "So like," and I heard her, and she was
mm.
practicing. I said, "Like Aretha Franklin practices?" And they said, "Yeah." They said she practices every day. So
Oh,
I found that, incredible that that she practiced. I remember recording with Gladys Knight. She was right on time. And we had the lyrics printed for Gladys to sing. She said, "Oh, I don't sing no songs looking at no lyric sheets." I said, "Really? But you do a lot of recording sessions." She says, "Oh yeah, but I learned the words." She
nice.
said, "Because I can't sing a song and feel the song looking
Mm,
at a paper. So I have to feel it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?" So, you know, um, Whitney was probably the most humble of them all. And I mean, she was humble in a different kind of a way. It was a more humility of more like the most personal. Like I
Mm,
would say Whitney was the most, let's come and sit down and talk to me.
yeah.
Who are you? You know what I mean? Like really was talking to me, like embracing me as a person,
Hmm.
not just like we were like here to do a job, but like, who are you? I
Yeah.
mean, Whitney one time made me call my parents so she could say hello to them, you know, and
Aw.
told me to get out of the room. She said, "You go so I
Aw.
can talk to them."
I love that.
So she was really warm, um, really real, really
Hmm.
personal and personable. She would come in the studio and she'd be so nice to the engineers, so nice to everybody in the studio, very, very warm, very real. So I would say the humility. Shaka in a session one time, she didn't know the song so well because she had just gotten off a plane from Japan, and I'm a child basically.
Hmm.
And so like we're through the booth, and because I've sung the demos on all these songs,
Yeah.
so I'm there like singing the melody, and she said, "Gordon Chambers, Gordon, come in here, please." Will you come out on here with me? And so she's telling me in that voice
Mhm.
to like come with her in the booth and like stand with her and sing the thing. Cause I'm like trying to like whisper like how to sing it. Cause I'm like, I'm not singing nothing for Shaka. I'm not telling Shaka what to do.
Right.
I'm not even standing next to Shaka. And she was made, go on, Travis. Come. She made me come in there and stand next to her and sing it like again, so she could understand what we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been moved by the humility, but it goes back to what I was talking about at Essence. It's like, it's the same philosophy of being a servant to the people, like being a servant to, it's not about you. It's not about your ego.
Yeah.
I don't think you get great. I think one should be confident in life and confident in your craft, but I think you should be confident in your craft because you have a purpose and you have a passion, you have a purpose, but when that passion and that purpose goes into service
Mm,
is when the world becomes a better place, you know.
mm.
Yeah.
I believe that, and I've experienced that from both my collaborations and from my Essence experiences. I've
Wow.
found a connection in both of those experience in the
Yeah.
both of those worlds in that way.
That's beautiful. Success comes with serve. Like it's you're more successful when you do it in service. You're absolutely right. I
Absolutely.
100% agree with
Yeah.
that. And then so for the song "Missing You," now this song I think rings in a lot. Like I can hear it in my head right now. You know, and it's
Mhm.
such a classic song, and the voices are such distinct powerhouses on that song.
Mhm.
How were you able to balance that, like the four distinct voices and the power of each voice?
I also wrote that song with Barry Eastman, and that song had many different um, casting.
Mm.
um, at first it was being pitched to Lauryn Hill and Roberta Flack to sing it as to do it. I just
Oh
talked
my
about this
gosh!
in
Yeah.
in this. I talked about this in another interview, and then that clip of the interview went very viral on
Right.
that podcast called that Instagram page called Golden Stories, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it went really viral. The story of this. So it was first going to be pitched to Lauryn Hill and Roberta Flack,
Mhm.
and then that didn't work out. Then they were then the idea changed to have maybe four voices on it, and Mary sang it first. But then Mary ended up taking her voice off of it, her management, or she felt that she was overexposed on too many projects at the time. So she ended up taking her voice off of it, and then Brandy was put on at the last minute. But we recorded Gladys and Tamia together in the same day. Um, we sang the backgrounds first, like me, Gladys, and Tamia sang the backgrounds first. Gladys sang the whole song from beginning to end because we didn't really know who was going to sing what part. So everybody sang the whole song. So Gladys did her whole vocals of the whole song. Tamia did her vocals of the whole song. Then on another day, Shaka did her vocals of the whole song. But by then, by the time Shaka recorded, we understood where we wanted Shaka to go. We understood that we wanted the younger voices to go first, and then it would graduate into the senior voices. And then, it was Barry Eastman, like I said, who I wrote that with, um, and Sylvia Rome, the record executive, amazing lady, who had asked us to write the song. She was the person who was contacting the voices and in the studios where we kind of put 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 the puzzle together. I mean, I think it's like recording is sometimes you just record and you get what you get, and then when you edit, it tells you what it's going to be. It tells its own story. And
Mm.
so it was when we were listening back that we understood exactly how the song should be sculpted and how the song should grow. But they all did such a fabulous job. I
You
mean,
did.
they just all sang so exquisitely, so heartfeltly.
Mhm.
Everybody's vocal, everyone felt, sang from the bottom of their hearts. And to me, as the one who still sings it live in her shows, if you go to a Tamia concert, she sings it live and sings the whole thing. No, she sings a portion of it because she segues from her song "Officially Missing You" into "Missing You." I don't
Mhm.
think the other ladies have really sang it live in their concerts, but she sings. She's kept the spirit of it alive, and I'm forever grateful for that. That she lets it be a part, and so can people can hear it live.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic movie, classic
Yeah.
song.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, I
thank
don't
you.
know how many. I think I've seen that movie at least 100 times. I mean,
Mm.
such a good movie. Yeah. So you mentioned, which I find very interesting. You mentioned that you guys didn't really know which way to go until you were in the editing portion
Hmm.
of the process. Now, is there a song that went through a super dramatic transition from demo to completion? Like, is there a song that you were like, this is completely different than what
If
I
you love
initially?
me,
If
the
you love
demo,
me,
yeah, which
yes.
I sang. So I didn't intend it at all to be this women's anthem. I just wrote it as a song. And Nikki did her own demo of it. It got sent to the group. Nikki is a writer, arranger, producer as well.
Hmm.
So when she got the demo, she heard it and she added a section, the bridge, she wrote and added that section. She added that to the demo. And so I
Okay.
remember hearing the demo. I was like, I like that, but it doesn't quite fit. I didn't think it fit with the rest of the song. It,
Hmm.
it fit the sound of the way they sing, but I was like, does that fit? And she moved a couple of the words around in some other parts. She kept it pretty much the same way, but she moved some of the words around. Um, and she to just make sort of accenting what she felt made it stronger as a statement from a woman's perspective.
Hmm.
So her additions to it gave it a female anthem spirit.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't hear it like that. I didn't intend it like that. When I first heard the demo of it, I was like, this is really different. And then they came to New York to record it, and me and Dave Hall came to the studio. And then then it was even louder, prouder, but way louder. And I
Hmm.
was like, why are they screaming? Like, why are they singing so loud? Because it's all three of them, and they have strong voices, and then they would double
Yes.
it and then triple it. So it sounded like a choir. And I thought that the demo, they just said it like the demo because, they didn't have fully time. So I kept trying to pull it back. And Dave was like, Gordon, this is the way they sing. Leave them alone. Because it did sound really good. And he managed to mix it and pull it in so it's still, in the way it's mixed, it matched in the beat and everything. And then
Hmm.
Dave also, took the drums out of the first verse because the demo did not have the drums muted like that. But when he first heard Nikki in the studio singing the first verse, he decided spontaneously to take the drums out. I said, Dave, why are you taking the drums out? I want people to listen to these words. And, he was honoring my lyrics. He was honoring what you wrote that first, it's potent and it needs to be heard. And he just took the drums out. And so, you know, I thought he was taking a knock and taking the beat out of the damn thing. But when that beat hits, it hits.
Yes.
You're drawn in. You've been listening to like this vulnerable poetic thing, and then the drums hits and it hits. So,
Hmm.
that record was a collaboration. My co-writers on that record had their visions, and we all kind of fought for what we felt was important, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's an amazing song. Another side note, I still listen to it in my car and sing it really loudly, and I definitely cannot sing like those ladies. So I
Right.
sing it loud because it's like you said, they sound loud. So I'm trying to match.
They loud and proud.
Mhm.
Definitely don't sound like them, but that's another one. I still listen to that song to this day. It's in my favorites playlist. So yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So from my understanding, you Whitney Houston said something to you. She said to you, "You need to be doing this yourself." What?
Well, yeah, I
What
mean,
was going through your head?
I was in the studio with her producing her Christmas title track One Wish, and we were on a big time crunch. Um, it had to be done that night. Christmas records have to be done mixed mastered by a certain date, or they just won't make it to Christmas. You know, and so that was the final track that was being recorded, and it was a crunch. And so I had to get because Whitney could talk, but Whitney was a talker. Whitney was a sit down on the couch and talking. I miss her. I miss just talking to her because she liked to talk. And, just about anything. She was hilariously funny. I mean, hilarious. Like to tell jokes and, just talk, catch up.
Mhm.
She always called me New York. She said, "You so New York." She was living in Atlanta at the time, and she just wanted to talk about music and gossip, or just talk about life and whatever, just whatever, in a way of almost a homesick kind of way. So
Mhm.
like this time, Joey, the vice president of A&R, was calling like, "You got to get this done by such and such and such a time." So that time, the whip was being a little cracked on me, so I had to crack the whip back a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Whitney," and when we got to the bridge, I'm like, "I need you to sing," and I was more loud and forceful about this note that I needed her to sing because of the time crunch.
Mhm.
And she came out the booth. She said, and she looked at me. I thought she was going to let me have it. She said, with this kind of angry look on her face almost, she said, "I think you need to do what I do, baby. But that's what you need to do. Then that's what you need to do." And she said it real fast like that, with her eyes kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Mhm.
it was all that. And then she said, "But I'm going to go back and give you your note." And she said it twice. And she did give me my note. But that was when she spoke spirit into my heart,
yeah. Mm.
because I had wanted to record a record. I did a duet on Brownstone's album. I had been, I did a vocal feature on Naughty by Nature's album. I had, and I sang on the demos of all these hit records. But when I tried to get a record deal, I just wasn't able to land a deal. The labels didn't know, figure out, they didn't know how to market me, or they had another artist that was already similar to me. They
Mhm.
loved the music, but they were like, I just couldn't land the deal. So I had
Mhm.
kind of given up hope around that. But when Whitney spoke to me that in that session at that time, I was like, I think that she's, igniting my heart again in that direction. And then I went back and to the New York and called some of my songwriting friends. I'm like, "Listen, I think I want to go ahead and try to do this independently." And that's when I reached out to, my Barry and Troy Taylor, especially, who worked heavily on the album, my first two solo albums, and Prince Charles Alexander, who mixed the record, and then some other up and coming songwriters that I met along the way. Claude Kelly worked on my solo albums. He's become a huge songwriter,
Mhm.
but at the time he was brand new and up and coming. And we just, with Whitney's kick in the butt, made that first record introducing Gordon Chambers.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about your
Yeah.
solo work for a little bit.
Sure.
Which track do you feel like exemplifies who Gordon is? Like, is there a song that is like a signature of who you are as a man?
I mean, I've made four solo albums. I think they reflected who I was at the time and the stories I was trying to tell
Mm-hmm.
at the time on each record. So I stand by all of them. There's nothing I sung on any of them that I would say felt untrue to me.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't all necessarily my life experiences, but they were my beliefs, my hopes, my dreams. But I would say the two of the most personal and more autobiographical songs, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, would be from the first album, "I'll Miss You Most." and from the third album, Lead Me, which is a more spiritual song.
Okay.
In those two songs, I'm singing about grief and faith, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, in a more personal way. They're not love songs, they're songs about their lifing songs.
Yeah.
Um, and they're, you know, when I do concerts, I sometimes I used to sing both of them in the same concert, and I had to take one out. I'm like, I can't sing both of these songs in the set because they're going to wear me out, or I have
Mm.
to move them far enough from each other because they're just very emotional.
Emotional. Mm.
And the older you get, sometimes you know, I'll Miss You Most, which I wrote when I was very young, um, I don't know, maybe it was maybe 20 or 21. Didn't record it till I was in my early 30s. That song was written just about missing somebody from the audience of a concert. That's like this. But as I got older and lost more friends, when I was singing in concert, it would be more about I'd be thinking about those people. So
Yeah.
it took on a deeper meaning as I've grown older. The story took on a deeper meaning. So sometimes songs mean the same song to you can mean different things. Like one of my favorite songs of all time is Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And she recorded it when she was very young in her early 20s. And then she went and re-recorded it 50 years later. And her voice has deepened and darkened. And
Mm.
after years of cigarettes and life and this and that,
Yeah.
you know, but when you ended the arrangement is very different. I think the first version was just guitar and vocal, but then the later version has like more of like a full orchestra or strings and Wayne Shorter playing the sax. And it's like I like the second version even better. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you you hear you hear what she's when she says, "I've looked at life from both sides." Now you really hear the second side of
Yeah.
what she's talking about. The both sides. Now you hear the both.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes the same song, believe it or not, deepens the meaning of it. You know, yeah.
I
Mm.
love it. I love it. I love it. So we are at the we I'm looking at the time here. This has been such a wonderful conversation. We are at the time. So this is supposed to be the fun. Well, it is the fun part
And
of the
so
show.
we've come
No,
to the end of the
not
road.
yet. Not yet. But I love how you say that. But not yet. We're
Wow.
not there yet. So what we do now, we have a little fun on our show. We have a segment called Playtime.
Well, thank you, Tasha. Mr. Gordon Chambers, I was just intrigued by everything you was telling us and the songs that you have written, and wow, like this, I'm just amazed. But
Oh, thank you.
let's get into the game. This is the part of the show that we call playtime. Now, this is how
Okay.
playtime works. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, this is what it is. We have a wheel.
Conducted
We
by
got
a man whose name is Sin. I'm like, what is this?
you're the first one to say that. I liked it. I liked it.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the wheel. The wheel, here it is. We got 6 songs on the wheel.
Okay.
Whatever number that it lands on, that's the
Okay.
song that we want you to tell us about now. The song that you're telling us about, we want you to tell us where you was at, how did it make you feel about music at the time, and
Mhm.
your most embarrassing moment if you have one. Your
Ah!
mission, should you choose to accept it.
Okay.
Well, let's roll that beautiful bean footage then, man.
Am I supposed to roll?
No,
No.
No,
no,
you don't
Okay.
do that. You
Okay.
Yeah,
you you don't roll nothing.
all
Ozzy
right.
Brothers just came here to chill.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so wait, tell me the questions again, please.
Okay. Um, your most embarrassed if you have the most embarrassing moment,
Okay.
where was you at the time the song came out, and how did the song inspire you to do music?
All right. I'm not gonna remember. So say the questions one by one. So say the first question again. I'm gonna answer
Okay.
them, but just tell me the okay.
Let,
The
let's
most
start
embarrassing
from
the
let's
most
start
embarrassing
from the
moment.
Let's start
Okay.
from the back one to the first. Make that the first one. Your most
Okay.
embarrassing moment. Let's get that one out the way.
Well, I wrote that song with Troy Taylor, a very close friend and amazing writer producer. We wrote that together, and that was by assignment. He knew that the Isley Brothers were looking for tracks, and this is something that I do, and when I'm writing and pitching songs to people, is I do imitate the person's voice that's singing the song. So we've been kicking it for quite some time. So I was really imitating Rod's voice for him. And
That's funny.
like I was kind of overdoing it almost a little bit. It's such a signature voice. I'm like, why not have fun with this? So, when the song got chosen, Ron had a stroke, actually. Before we recorded it, and that was one of the first songs that he had recorded after the stroke. So because he had a little bit of an intellectual, delay at recovering from the stroke, he needed me to sing it again, like sing it back to him in the studio, and then I had to imitate, but Troy was like, "No, sing it like how you sang it on the demo." But I'm like, "But Troy, I was kind of like." So then it became like a situation like I'm in the studio with Ron Isley,
Oh my
like
God.
imitating Ron Isley for Ron Isley, but to help him, and he did an amazing job. Like
Yeah.
when I hear that record,
Yes, he
I
did.
remember that this man had recently had a stroke, and the way he pulled that vocal off, it was like amazing. So that was like a time when like I was like imitating him for him, and it was kind of funny. La 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 la. I
You
was
sound
up in
just
there,
like him.
and I was up doing it for him.
Oh man,
There you go.
Brownstone. We just talked about that.
Yeah, we
If
just
you
talked
love
You
me,
about
love
it.
me.
If you love me. All right. So you said, where was I when I heard it?
right? Yeah. Where was you? No. Yeah. Where was you at when you? I said heard it, but you wrote it. So
Yes,
where was you
I
at when
wrote
you
it.
wrote it?
But I'll
You know
tell
what I
you,
mean?
Like,
I
Right.
wrote it.
All right.
I wrote it. That this is deep. This is a deep story. This is really deep. I was on my way to work at Essence. I was always late and leaving early, but I got my work done. So this morning, I knew I was going to be late to work. I knew it. Dave had given me some tracks. I'm like, I'm going to be late. What excuse am I going to say I'm late with today? And then I said, well, I'm going to be late anyway. Dave gave me these tracks. Let me just pop in a track and just see what happens. And I swear to you, as soon as I popped in that track, the rain started to pour. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be even later. So I'm like stuck in this like little traffic jam going through the Lincoln Tunnel, about to go through the tunnel. And I just had a little pen and I just started writing whatever came to me. And the first lyric that came to me is, I don't want to rain on this parade, because it started to pour raining. So when the song started to play on the radio, all these people had heard it but me. They're like, oh, have you heard your song on the radio? And I had not heard it. It took me weeks before I heard it. And I was going after work once again to a session with a producer. He was part of the Untouchables. I think his name is Kenny Tongay. I don't know where he is, but I think I had a session up at his house, and he lived farther upstate, not upstate, but like Mount Vernon. Like he lived a little bit farther than I thought. And I was, this is way before GPS, so you had to like write your direction. You had to know where the hell you were driving. You know what I mean? You had to drive.
Was it MapQuest? Like MapQuest day?
No, there was no MapQuest, no
before
East
that.
West,
It was
no
before that.
nothing.
Wow.
You had to like write out your directions and like drive and look like I don't know how we drove. I don't know how we got anywhere. I really don't.
Yeah, it was the map without the quest, Tasha.
Yeah,
It was just the map.
exactly. So
right.
when I finally like got
Pull
there,
it
you
out
have to
like a
call
blueprint.
somebody. You have to call somebody. They'd have to
Quick
tell you
map.
how to get. Then you'd have to write it down. I
Oh
mean,
my
it's
God.
like, how do we get places? But that's what we do. And so I got up to his studio, and it was, I was running late. I'm much more on time these days. Back then, I was pulled in so many directions, I was often late. But I get my work done. So I got to his house, and finally, like I'm pulling up, and it's like nighttime. It's like dark, and it's hard to see the numbers. And the rain started to pour. And that's when I heard "If You Love Me" on the radio in the middle of the rain. It was written in the car on a rainy day, and the first time I heard it on the radio was on a rainy night.
Wow.
And the first line is, "I don't want to rain on this parade."
Mm,
Hmm. Yeah.
mm.
Mm.
I love
This
that.
is a great game. I love this.
Right.
Hmm.
Andy Stone, no more rain.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness! Don't let me start to cry now.
I
Don't let me
know.
start. Whew. Angie Stone. Um,
Take your
lady,
time.
yeah,
Take your time.
I have to take my time and talk about this lady. Mm. First of all, let me just say that lady, what I talked about before about service and mentorship and kindness and being example of class and dignity and elegance, that was Angie Stone. She was always that big sister to so many people, you know, and she really epitomized that. So I knew Angie from the scene. And when she got signed, I knew her just, songwriters, musicians knowing each other. I got a call from Peter Edge, who's now the big, 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 big boss at, he's, I think, head of Sony, head of BMG. I can't remember what his title is now. But at that time, he was an NR um, at Arista. And Peter had been a friend of mine. Like, we've become friends. Like, he never asked me to work on anything, but I knew him and I liked him very much from when he was even working at Warner Brothers when he signed Michelle and Cello. But he was just a cool dude. I just liked him very much as a person. So one day he called me feverishly. He said, "Gordon, I'm in a jam." He had his British accent. I said, we're working on Angie Stone's record. And he said, "We have the first single ready, but Clive is not happy with the bridge." He said, "Can you run to the studio like today and go and see if you hear something?" I said, "Yeah." So after years of knowing Peter, he never asked me to work on anything. So I get over there, and then Angie's there. And Angie didn't know who was coming. She didn't know it was going to be me. Peter just said, "I'm going to send a writer to you." She said, and then Angie said, "Oh my goodness gracious." And Angie always talked like this. But whenever she talked, she was all talk like this, like she was always hoarse. And if she told you, she'd talk right in your ear. "Gordon, this man just driving me crazy. I done turned into the bridge 3 times. They said I don't like the bridge. We're trying to get this record done. Blah, 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 what you hear?" And child and blah, blah, blah. And child, these people didn't work with. And she's Southern, everything was child. So I literally went in and heard what she was doing, and then the bridge came to me. "Spring has come, but winter's gone, my love. But don't look around for me, child." And I put child in there because that's how she always talked. "I'll be gone. Not afraid because the seasons have changed. I'm going to count my blessings and just follow the sun because you see my sunshine has come." That was my contribution to the song, the bridge. The rest of the song she wrote. She was a great writer. And and then the record company was very happy. They're like, "Gordon, thank you so much." Then again, just like I apologize, it was done. They rushed it to radio. It went straight up the radio charts. Ended up being a big record that year, big hit record that year. And it was done right at the last minute, and it's kind of saved the day. And it was and made unexpected history. What was so emotional is that when she passed, and we went to and I went to the funeral and I have the program downstairs. There's this beautiful picture of her. And on the back of it is those words, not the rest of the words, but those words: "Spring has come." Just the words, "I'm going to count my blessings and just follow the sun. My sunshine has come." Just the bridge was along with this beautiful picture of her. And I think it's on the back of the program. And it almost became like a theme of the end of her life in a way. Think about it. Spring has come, but winter's gone, my love. Don't look around for me, child. I'll be gone. Not afraid, because the seasons have changed. I'm going to count my blessings and just follow the sun. My sunshine has come. So every time I hear it, it makes me think of God called her.
Yeah.
Her sunshine had come. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this interview. I'm so grateful for all these beautiful artists and songwriters that I work with. And I love to say the names of my co-writers of the songs. People sometimes associate me more with the artists I've written for, but it's really the songwriters that were my friends, so I like to say the names and give all the credit where it's due. But I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for this conversation.
Yeah,
And I thank you. Thank you for letting me get back on memory lane.
Thanks, Gordon.
oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find you? I'm sure everyone has your music in their playlist somewhere,
Thank
but
you.
what about your solo? We want to make sure
Yes.
they know where to find you.
So I've made 4 solo albums. Please support them. Introducing Gordon Chambers, Sincere. Introducing Gordon Chambers, Love Stories, Sincere, and Surrender. And those albums have featured duets with Eric Roberson, Layla Hathaway, Lettucey, the late great amazing trumpet player Roy Hargrove. A lot of collaborations on those albums. So those are my 4 solo albums that you can find on all the streaming platforms. Please check them out and enjoy them. Grown, classy, music. And my Instagram is just Gordon Chambers, Gordon Chambers. That's where you can follow me for when I'm performing. I also vocal coach. So if you're interested in any vocal coaching sessions for yourself or for somebody in your life you want to gift, you can DM me there and we can get you booked to do a lot of vocal coaching. Because after having worked with all these great singers who made me coach them, I love to also, pass that experience on of coaching the community. And I've coached all kinds of people, from Tyler, the South African 2-time Grammy winner now, to children that are in school, to just passing on the knowledge and that I've learned along the way of helping people sing their best. So that's me, and that's where you can find me. Yes.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you for
Gordon.
coming. And to our audience, don't forget you can stream us on Blazing 420. Also, you can find us on YouTube, the Playback 2024. And then you can also find us on beatsandbars.com. So you have many ways to watch. You can just follow us on Instagram or you on Instagram or TikTok. We are on. So
everywhere.
we're
Cool.
everywhere.
Mhm.
This has
Every
been
platform.
this has been such a pleasure. Anytime we get somebody in that is as studied as you are
Mm.
and actually has deep roots, and so it's just definitely a pleasure to speak with you today, Gordon. So thank you again for coming in. Thank you to the audience and everyone. I want to wish you a good night.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your
Yeah.
research.
Oh,
Peace.
of course.
Gordon is awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
We grew
Yeah,
up with you,
thanks,
man.
Gordon.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
love you.
Take
We
care.
all grew up to your music, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Love
much. And Cinnamon, you stay righteous and follow the Lord now.
Amen. God's good.
All right. Okay, take care, y'all. Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Right.
Good night.
Yeah.
God bless.